Right and wrong, it's a brand. A brand sticks.
What's happening, YouTube? My name's Immortal Coil, and today we are going to be talking about Comicsgate. Now, what is Comicsgate? Comicsgate essentially is a rebellion against the status quo of the major comic book companies, namely DC and Marvel, who have been infiltrated by social engineering forces in order to push forward a narrative over plot. Okay, so this is what you've heard of as the NPC and the SJW sort of influence that's trying to creep into entertainment in order to farm our minds and get us to essentially agree with them and submit to their paradigms, which these guys recognized it for what it was. They gave them the big fuck you, and they decided to go off and do their own thing. Which, this is America, you should have the right to do. But the problem is these handful of talent found themselves under, with a bullseye on their back, especially on social media. And, there was some pressure exerted and all this kind of stuff. But the funny thing was that the people who were hungry for actual stories and actual content ended up donating millions of dollars so that these guys could get their books out and tell their stories. One such person is Antonio Brice. He has a book called Brand, which is illustrated by Mr. Kanan White, very talented artist. So just to familiarize you with Brand, we're going to be reading the description from the IndieGogo campaign, which is a crowd-funded campaign which raised over $53,000. Brand is a 48-page sci-fi fantasy comic. We follow supernatural hunters Dawn and David Craven, the flawed heroes of this first story arc. You will learn about the world of Brand as Dawn learns the rules of the hunt from her husband David. Overall, Brand is about the love story between David and Dawn. I've taken that love and crafted a compelling story arc, and this is obviously Antonio speaking. I am excited to have an industry veteran like Kanan White help craft my story. You can see his love of storytelling in every line he draws. Now, a link to this IndieGogo is going to be in the description below. There is some insane art that, you guys are going to shit your pants when you see it. December 11th, 2018. Antonio drops a bomb. Now, before we go ahead, I must advise you, there are going to be spoilers for Brand following. If you do not want to be spoiled and you just want to open up your comic book and be amazed, turn this shit off right now. But, thumbs up and like and share and all that stuff. In his video called Creating Brand, Page 1, From Script to Page, Antonio dropped some juicy nuggets. Pure meat on the bone. This is like the bacon wrapped tenderloin that just melts in your mouth, and you want to lick the plate after you're done and you're like, yeah. Now, he did this in two arenas. He showed the script, the first 20 pages, and it goes by really fast unless you stop and read it, which we're going to stop and read it. And then he also showed artwork. He showed the inked first page, and he showed the pencils for pages 2 and 3, I believe. And it's funny because when he showed the pencils, he kind of did like an oopsie poopsie moment, but then he was like, yeah, fuck it, we'll look at it. which I really admire. You know, that dude. It's funny, and Antonio, like, he's one of those guys that you would look at him and probably prejudge him, but he's got a lot going on upstairs, and he's an excellent storyteller. His work is very intricate, and it's more like a television miniseries than it is like a comic book. Maybe graphic novel would be a more appropriate term. That's like the grown-up version of a comic book where you have an actual story and it's not just like... So first of all, we'll take a look at the script, and then we'll take a look at the images. The script itself, as Antonio describes it, is not in the typical, like, scene 1, panel 1, scene 2, panel 6. He writes out paragraphs, and then he lets his artist fill it in, and then they get together and bounce the ideas around until they find something to both of their mutual satisfactions. So it's an interesting model. I really enjoy that process because it gives the artist creative freedom to interpret what the story should be, but it also gives the writer input into... It's almost like Antonio's a director / writer, instead of just, you know, all right, here you go, all right. And that's the freedom that Comicsgate brings you, is that you have complete control and creative process. The other side of that is if you fuck up, then you fuck up, and, you know, but they're not fucking up. No. So let's get into this. Brand, page 1. We're 5 years in the past. We're on a highway in Wyoming. I'd like a big panel of 15-year-old Don Waddell hitchhiking. You may want to Google a US map for a highway number or something. I want it to look like Bill Bixby on Incredible Hulk, so shoot her from the back. I want her to have a big bag. Dawn's on the run, and she doesn't let the grass grow under her feet, so she packs the essentials and is ready to leave at a moment's notice. Pages 2 and 3. I'd like a big truck, like an Escalade, to pull over just ahead of Dawn on the side of the road. She'll approach the vehicle, and it'll be Edwin Boyette, and he'll offer a ride. Use these 2 pages to give me some dialogue, so you can just have them driving down the road, talking some. Edwin is going to Michigan to meet up with his wife, who has flown ahead to be with their daughter, Elle, who is about to have her first baby. Maybe have him pull out his wallet and show a picture of his family. This can set up Dawn seeing that his wallet is full of cash, so we can pay off her being a pickpocket later. When she sees the money, give me a nice reaction shot so that we can set her up stealing it later. Also want to show that Edwin's character has a love for the road, for travel, which is why he's driving the whole way instead of flying like his wife. He recognizes Dawn as a fellow traveler. We also need to cut in shots of the Covenant in various locations around the world preparing to launch a virus by air. Show bad guys dressed as police and ambulance workers. Construction workers who are all secretly working for the Covenant. Lay it out like Dawn and Edwin talking. Bad guys in the next panel. More Dawn and Edwin. Massive crowd gathering to protest the government with bad guys hidden in the crowd. They are preparing for a coordinated terrorist attack. Maybe show some biohazard symbols on the canisters to really hit home that they are planning something dangerous. We end with Edwin's truck fading down the road. Pages 4 and 5. We're in Detroit. Maybe show a street sign on a bus station. Dawn's going to want to go there. It'll be a great place for her to pick pockets and make some fast cash so she can eat and have a room for the night. They'll park, and Edwin will help her with her bag. Dawn will hug him, and this is when she steals his wallet. Somewhere in your panels we need to insert the pimp Fame into the setting. He's at the bus station looking for fresh talent with his main chick, Rita. He sees Dawn steal the wallet and how good she is, so he keeps an eye on her. As Edwin prepares to leave, he asks if She's sure she wants him to drop her off here. He offers to take her to his family's home. She declines and starts to walk off. She feels guilty. She runs after him and tells him he dropped his wallet. He opens it and asks her why she gave it back. She feels bad for stealing from him. He reaches into his wallet and gives her a few $100s and departs for a second time. Dawn walks into the bus station. Fame and Rita follow. Pages 6 and 7. Dawn is in her element. Give a few panels of her bumping into people, taking wallets, pocketbooks, jewelry. Make sure you show the face of at least one of the victims. We'll need him to point her out to the police at the station later. She's cleaning up. Fame and Rita are impressed. She's definitely someone they can use. Dawn will clip another wallet as she's about to move on. She sees a book stand at the station. There's a poster for her uncle, Chef Malcolm Waldell's hit cookbook, Furious Foods. Malcolm will look like my friend, so let me know when you need reference pics. Dawn's been away from her family over a year and didn't know he had written a book. She talks to the man at the counter and buys a copy of the book. One of the men she robbed earlier spots her and gets the attention of an officer. The officer confronts her, but there's people everywhere. She causes a commotion and bursts through the crowd. More police are in pursuit. Dawn's scared. Rita gets her attention and helps her hide. They swap clothes, and Dawn tucks her red hair under a ball cap. She then leaves the station with Rita and Fame. Pages 8 and 9. We shift to Chicago at night. The veteran detective Ortiz has been investigating a company called Spectrum Electric. Whatever logo you came up for with Spectrum, you need to incorporate the covenant symbol in the graphic, just as a nod to secret societies. Ortiz has gotten a tip that they are a front for something illegal, so he's been looking into them with his partner, Amy. They are on a stakeout and have followed Spectrum truck to somewhere in the business district. They watch as Spectrum workers unload a truck that appears to have a hazardous materials logo on it. You can see the biohazard symbols on the canisters as they unload. The truck drivers leave, and Ortiz calls in a suspicious activity on his radio and goes to the building to investigate. He and Amy break into the building and find boxes of the virus stacked everywhere. Ortiz finally has his evidence. He's about to call for backup and a warrant. He turns around and Amy is holding a gun on him. She's part of the covenant and they have been aware he was looking into their activities. She shoots him and calls Tobias Stone. Somewhere in these 2 pages we need to establish that a nosy man was peeking out of the window and saw something. Remember, this is the business district, so establish a window on the 2nd floor of a storefront. This man is disabled and lives up above the store his brother owns. Remember, it's night, so not a lot of people around. We only need a panel or 2 with the disabled man, but it's important we established that he saw something shady. Pages 10 through 15. We pick up with Tobias Stone taking the call from Amy in Los Angeles. He's backstage at a television show called Ruby. With him are Lionel, Jen, and Jade, and Raymond Heath. Lionel is getting ready to promote his new streaming service, Luminous. Put him in informal attire. He should look warm and friendly to the audience. Everyone else is in business attire. Lionel's demon necklace is present. He's a member of the royal family. No matter what he wears, the necklace should be visible. Also, don't put the necklace on Jen. She hasn't gotten it from her grandfather yet. John and Akala are not present. Tobias takes the call and hangs up. We need a Lionel panel asking if there is a problem. keep Jen by his side since they are a couple. Tobias will let him know he will handle it. Next, we go to an outside shot of David's home, Everhart. It should have that southern plantation look, a long road leading to the mansion. Very important to show bees flying all in the air, lots of trees. The place is huge. We go to a bedroom and see a beautiful, biracial black woman laying in the bed, watching TV, with a 5-year-old child sleeping next to her. This is David's first love, Melissa, and Abby. The next few panels are what's on the TV. We need a panel of a news broadcaster marking the anniversary of the mysterious serial killer known as Leviticus. I need you to draw a rough police sketch of a man wearing a clown makeup that looks like Horace. This is very important because we will pay it off later. Melissa changes the channel. Ruby is on the station. We go back to the studio. Next panel, Malcolm Waldell is doing a cooking segment on the show promoting his book, Furious Foods, and also talking about his charity, Malcolm's Kids, that helps find runaways all over the nation. They show a picture of Malcolm's missing niece, Dawn, on the screen, who he has been trying to locate for over a year. Malcolm is making gumbo. Ruby will bring out her special guest, Lionel Solomon. They sit down to talk. Give me about 4 panels to tell Lionel's story. They should have a huge monitor in the background of the set. Maybe show a picture of young Lionel and Akala as kids in Simbasi. The next panel should switch to Lionel's project, Luminous. Lionel announces that he wants to donate $50,000 to Malcolm's Kids. Tobias and Raymond come out with one of those huge checks that they give out on game shows for $50K. Nice. Panel of Ruby going to commercial break. Give me a few panels of Lionel and Malcolm talking, and Tobias handing a copy of Furious Foods to Malcolm to sign. We then go back to Melissa in the bedroom. Pages 16 through 20. Knock at the door. Fat David Craven enters bringing breakfast in bed. Ruby is still in the background. Melissa is happy to see him. She takes the food and gives him a long kiss on the lips. David is flustered. He cares for Melissa, but knows he can't be with her. Definitely show the chemistry between them. David is tempted by her. He leans in for another kiss, and his phone rings. It's Penance, causing a distraction. He's in the room with David, but invisible to Melissa and Abby. Abby wakes up. David talks to her and then leaves Melissa and goes outside with Penance to tend his bees. You should have several longstro hives all around. A unique queen bee flies over and lands on David's shoulder. It's Chagall. She should stand out from the other bees. David talks to her in Penance. Show him cleaning hives and inspecting the bees for a few panels. Penance gets a call from Vargas. He projects Vargas out of his mouth as a hologram like Star Wars. Vargas tells him that his apprentice Jacob might be walking into a trap and that he might want to check on him. David runs back in the house and tells Melissa he's got to go to work. She has her 5-year-old daughter Abby with her, eating the food David brought. David tries to walk off, but Melissa grabs him and kisses him again, and David doesn't fight it. Penance is outside and has transformed into a sleek convertible. David speeds down the road and a swarm of bees follow. When they get out of sight, they pull over and Penance transforms. Penance blasts David with energy from his mouth. Fat David is now taller and buff. A trench coat flies from his mouth and oozes onto David like venom. David opens his coat and the swarm of bees fly into the void. David telepathically summons William to help him find Jacob. Penance teleports William to their location. William is wearing an identical coat as David. You transport to Jacob's last known coordinates. So those are the first 20 pages. We need to thank Antonio for either intentionally or unintentionally delivering these things. But the reason why I feel all right sharing it with you guys is that, number one, he's already shared it. But number two, mere words on a page will not do justice to the artwork that Kanan White will deliver. And here's the situation we find us in now. If you haven't ordered a copy of Brand, you probably won't get the chance to until after it drops and people start reselling it. The other thing that we're going to do is show a couple of these images that Kanan has delivered. The first one is going to be from the first page. And what we see is Dawn moving down the road. She's itinerant. She's a vagabond. She's just trying to get to her next place. And it looks like on her face she's trying to survive. Maybe she's running away for something. I don't know. So we get to see the differences between them penciled, inked, and colored, which is a fascinating development process. A really good behind-the-scenes thing. But then we get to see pages 2 and 3 in pencil form. So if you compare the differences between the pencils and inks on the first page and then the pencils that we got to see in this video, well, we know that it's going to transform into something fucking epic. So that's what we have for you today, guys. Support IKARI Press. I'm going to put links to everything in there. Subscribe to his channel. Leave a comment. Thumbs up. Share the video. And make sure that you know he has your support. He's working hard for you guys. And not only that, but this is like the culmination of his life's dream. He mentions in his video he's been working on it for like 20 fucking years. So, geez, like look into his head and see if it's worth it. I think it will be. Alright, you guys. My name's Immortal Coil. Take care. I'll be talking to you later.